I don't know what's happening here. I still don't know what's happening. What's that? That's off. Go here. Okay, here we go. I'm going to start this game. And I'm going to go random color. Oh, turn that light off, mate. I'll put my reading glasses on so I can... Otherwise, it's a wee bit furry. It's just a bit of grit in my eyes. I'm just going to ask for a 20-minute and 10-second increment game. My rating's 2222. Oh, no. So I hope to be able to go over the game with you. Hope to be able to go over it. If I get a game, I don't know. Might try another thing. I will. So I'm trying to do a rated game here. And I can't see any speech yet. So here I've got to get my pieces out. I'm just going to keep to the program. I'm just going to keep to the program. Oh, I'm playing 2184 here. Why isn't that shown up? Why isn't... Oh, his rating is. Get developed first. Without too much talking. Is an easy thing to do. Now, if F4, I can actually play knight here. And then it's hard to defend the E3 pawn. It is hard to defend. So... Oh dear, it's cold. Now what do I do? I don't know. Yeah, so I should have some music on, shouldn't I, really? I should play some music. Can I do that? Do, I don't know. Add a audio music to it. So what's happening here? I don't know. I've sort of got my pieces out. I've moved this bishop 3 times. This has been moved once, once, castlings once. These pawns, I've moved these 4 pawns. I've got a bit of prowess in the centre, but, you know, my opponent's not necessarily doing anything sort of wrong. I'll probably have to play something like e4 here to to create some sort of activity. So whether I do that now or not is another question. Or whether I just whatever. I'm going to do this just to be keeping it sort of tangy, the position, and this brings about, this locks these 3 pawns up a little bit, or these 2, kind of, and but this restricts, this c5 pawn is on my side of the board, restricts my movements, but I'm sort of trying to look at playing moves like f4 maybe. So here comes white with their plan. Okay. So if we swap off, swap off, swap off, swap off, rook a8, rook a8 is okay. It's my opponent from anywhere. 3 years ago, joined 8,727 games. Well, that's interesting because I'm going to go here, I think. f4, f4, f4. I think I can play knight here. But not do that because it's, now I've locked the bishop off. The bishop's sort of locked off. Whereas my bishops are a bit better, aren't they? Okay, fine. We're going to take here, I think. Now I threaten queen e3. I threaten pawn takes bishop. Right, what do we do now? What do we do with the drunken sailor? Now, do we go knight to g4? We go knight g4, then if rook takes, knight, queen here, rook here, maybe pawn takes there, there, all sorts of mischief, isn't it? So if I just take, if I go here, and if I'm careless, I'd like to take this actually. I think I want to take this. Oh, I want to take this too. I want to take this. I want to go knight takes. Oh, hold on. Yeah, good. Check. That's a good one. I just realized that in this regard, haven't I got this move? Have we got this move? I don't know. And we're going to go here. Now, so what do I do about that now? Ah, a wee bit of a headache from that. I'm going to go here with the idea of, does this rook's at home at the moment? So I go knight here. So I go knight here. Wins queen f2, almost regardless. So even if queen f1, it also threatens knight takes knight if queen f1. And or else after queen e1, then queen e1, rook e1, knight f2, king f2, and rook a e8, or similar. So if I go here, I threaten queen takes knight if the rook moves. But if he moves it to e2 after knight e4, then I have difficulty with that move. I might play f4. Oh dear, chess. Maybe I go rook there. Rook e2, and I'm going to go queen back with the idea of knight checking. So I'm going to go queen back here if rook e2, I'm going to go queen h2, h6, and thereby I threaten knight e3 as well. And I threaten queen h2 check at the same time. I think I'll play this move. Now, if the king goes back to h1, I'm going to play rook here. And all of a sudden, if the rook takes, then queen takes h2 as checkmate. So, black is doing okay considering, my opponent's about 40 points below mine, or 38, or 18 points below mine, so well paired. And, what do we do now? We're going to go rook here, are we? So can I play this pawn move here? Really gives white some trouble, but, not terrible. But am I missing anything, first of all? I play f4. I do threaten knight e3, check. He's defending. If I go rook here, then he can go rook here. I don't really like that. I do like this one because it sort of threatens to plant this here. Also threatens to plant this here. It's got good support with the f pawn. Whereas if capture, here we go here, check. And if capture, then I'm taking that. If now where does a white king go? Here, then queen h3 is check. So the South Island Championships are on for chess at the moment. And I can I just take this? I think so. It's a wee bit sad because white has gone into this with, no real, like this bishop's been locked up. So does he want to rematch? Does he actually ask? Now I'm going to go and just look at this game with you. So here we go with just the build up. So when your opponent feeds shitholes, that's how I say it. That's what I was taught to say. When your opponent feeds shitholes, it's a good opportunity to throw lots of pawns in the center. I got 24 points for that. That's pretty good. When your opponent feeds shitholes, it's a good idea to make use of it and throw pawns in the center. But not going too far, David, with regards to moving things around in the center. So here I've got my two central pawns abreast, as it's called, in the center, the best spots they can be. But you need to support them. They need to be supported. They can't just be left there to their own devices. That's why we've got other pawns, because the pawns can support those two central pawns. So if we advance, for say example, these pawns to here, then these two pawns here have got less availability or less chance of being supported by pawns because these ones are moved to their side. So, but these can advance after that, you see, and that can get quite nice. But then white can pick away at the central pawns and that sort of thing with moves like d3, especially with the bishop on g2 and vice versa with the bishop on b2. Then white can pick away at black's d4 pawn with e3, not d3. d3 is no good because it puts a pawn in the way of the bishop. See? So the bishop would have to come out here if white played d3 with their bishop on f1 sort of thing and pawn on b3 and bishop on b2. So these pawns are paramount at the moment as far as I'm concerned. They're in the best place they can be, but they do need support because they're weak otherwise. Central pawns are way better to have than flank pawns in the opening. So if you can pick up a central pawn, sometimes it can be a good advantage. And if you have an advantage in a central pawn, you have an advantage with a central pawn capture. Be ready to give it back to get the advantage at an opportune moment. So anyway, here's d3. So white's playing sensibly because now, to be basic, white's now got a place for their bishop to go out here, here, and that sort of thing. not here or here. I'm not going to look at those two places. And so both the bishops have got open territory to go and look out to, and to be able to sort of move out to, instead of being hampered by the pawn, which the pawn is hampering the bishop obviously here. So to get this piece out, and if you do fianchetto or fianchetto, as some people say, then you want to have a way to get your other bishop out, or just simply place it out on this diagonal for white. So after c6, here I go. I'm just really just supporting my 1d5 move as well, and I'm moving 3 pawns in the opening instead of developing. Grandmaster, I've heard, says only move 2 pawns. Knight b or knight d2, bishop d6, e3, and I can't help myself. Bad habits. f5, I just think that one of the principles I have, which is this: f5. Play the move against your opponent that you least like having played against yourself. And I do quite not like f5 played against me. So there you go. Knight e2, knight f6. So I'm sort of behaving myself. White's ahead in development. b3, castling. Queen e7. And here, bishop e6. So I'm sort of really behaving myself now. Whereas White's played 5 pawn moves, and I've played 4, so that's pretty good for me. Castling, good. Knight bd7, that's okay. b4, 6 moves now for... you can actually do this in chess. You can just count the amount of times you've moved things around and just look at it like as if it's costing you money. I could play here. I could play b5 and look to play knight here and knight here, maybe. But that would be sort of like a totally different game, and it would also maybe give a weakness to my c5 square later on with moves like d4, e4, and this is going to be a good posse for a piece on c5 white. But you can't have everything in chess, as Nimzowitsch says. You can't have everything, but we can sure try. b4 and bishop f7. So I relocate this bishop. So I've moved this bishop twice now. Here's c4, and I think, well, some of the elementary mistakes that I could easily make is this move here, knight b6, okay? Because then c5 will win a piece for 2 pawns at the very best for black. Or I lose it for... So we've got to be very careful for our opponent's moves here. And in this case, I sort of now play the third move with my bishop. So this pawn is only defended twice and attacked twice. So with the bishop on g2 and the pawn on c4 once I play my next move, which is bishop h5. So I'm trying to look to play something like this move here. Okay, f4. And thereby break up White's kingside pawns once they capture, even though I lose a pawn. As the knight cannot capture, of course, again, because the bishop's pinning the knight to the queen. And so the loss of the queen would happen and occur. So this is my sort of idea, is to play f4, but I'm also looking at this pawn here on d3. So, and white would find it sort of like, would have to play probably here, so it's okay, to defend it with the queen. Okay, so I'm now kind of going to go about looking at playing moves like f4, probably, to just bust open white's king side. And if I play f4, if it's my move f4, and let's say white plays ef4, then ef4, now you can see that both the bishop and the queen are attacking this knight on e2, you see. And at the same time, this pawn is on f4 for me, black. And even if not bishop f6, that's okay. Just knight f6. Just knight f6. And this knight has been hampered. Yes, white can play moves like f3, but then I can probably play queen e3 check and look to take this pawn at least, or something similar. And I can also take this pawn on g3 with this f pawn. So the thing is with classical chess is obviously one gets a little bit more time to look at what's going on. So f3, yes, white's got a prophylactic sort of a setup. I can actually play f4 now, because upon ef4, ef4, gf4, or knight f4, I have bishop f4 and queen e3 check, and queen takes pawn on f4 or whatever's on there, or queen d3 if the, or moves like rook e8 and that sort of thing. So I find if we look at white's pawn formation in front of their king, it's not ideal, and white's just about moved all their pawns, as opposed to me usually moving all my pawns. So white's moved all their pawns except for their h2 pawn, but this isn't a very good position for white's king, because it does ask the suggestion from black pieces to play f4 or even e4 and that sort of thing. And white wouldn't be able to just bypass this move, because then this square becomes weak for a knight, and this pawn on e3 is very hard to defend, especially if this pawn's on d4. And this pawn on d3 is up for grabs too, which isn't nice, especially with that knight pinned by the bishop along here. So I think that this pawn formation is actually weak for white, whereas I've got a little bit better protection for my king, haven't I, really? There's plenty of backup for capture on f6, should the bishop on b2 capture f6 sooner or later. So this position I consider is better for me, as I'd always say that. And I base that on the reasoning that white's king side is very weak. Okay, so moving on, I play b5, so all that makes no sense. And I'm just kind of trying to block off white's play, even though this bishop of white is pointing towards my king side. So here I play bishop c7. I'm not going to go b8 because there's no point. It wants to stay out of it wants to keep these rooks looking at each other saying, "G'day mate, how you going?" Excuse me. So now white played a4. Okay. Sort of might be okay, but like if we count it, this pawn's had 2 moves, this has had 2, this has had 2 now. 1, so it's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 moves out of 15 are pawn moves for white, whereas I've been quite well behaved. I've made 5 pawn moves only. Okay, so here's a4. Okay, number 6 for me. So white's made 10 moves altogether with their pawns. There's a c4 pawn move to c5. Now another pawn move, 11. 11. And now am I 6? 11, 6. But here it's I'm quite comfortable in this position. See how comfortable I am? I'm actually stepping back. Now if f4 now, then this move here, knight g4, is hard to defend. Maybe knight here, because I cannot move this knight then to there as queen takes bishop. But here white played knight f4. And if I looked at this on the computer, it would probably say I'm winning here. gf3, knight h5. And here I was thinking, well, what do I do now? This is the time in which I was actually wondering what I do. I have just lost a bishop, haven't I? So white has just captured my bishop. I've got to be careful I don't just forget that knight takes h5 as my light squared bishop that's just gone off the board. If I play now straight away fg2, then I end up with knight f6 or king g2, as the knight is now defended on h5. So I lose a pawn out of that. Or no, I don't. Don't lose a pawn, do I? No. I I've got the f pawn already. So yeah, my opponents played just as many pawn moves as I usually play. Here I played queen e3 check, and I have to be very, very careful not to think that I've only lost a pawn on h5, because if rook f2, in most cases, I'd almost always swing this knight to here or to here, probably here more. But I've got the capture of the knight, haven't I? So I took the pawn. The pawn took the bishop. Knight took, knight took. Now I threaten a few things, namely knight here. And there I've got, just a win of exchange. And I've also got moves like knight h2, which are quite nice, and queen g3 and queen h2 checkmate sort of thing. So king g2, not king h2. Now, knight g4 was a move I actually did think of, because I thought, oh, what about rook e2? Oh, that's not very good for me. Until I saw the swing move of rook e2, queen h6. Thereby I threaten queen here takes check, and that's quite nice, as this bishop is supporting capture on g3. should I wish to take that? The other thing is if king f1 after queen h2, then I have queen h1 checkmate. So the only move would be, if I had my move now, queen h2, is king f3, but then queen takes g3 is checkmate again. So it's quite strong, and this also threatens knight check, which is just good. So white now played queen here. So here is the point where I think, well, I'm going to have to bring something else into this fight because I'm not doing this correctly. But just have a look at this dark squared bishop of white's. So it's like white's kind of a piece down. White is kind of a piece down. So I think, well, hit while the iron is hot. Iron the cloves when I could play rook here, but as I said in the game, that offers white the chance to start swapping things off. And as soon as white plays a rook here, I have to do something about it straight away. So instead of that, I went the move f4. And now, after h3, it's very much lost, I think. As now, yeah, I just think it's now lost for white. White's lost now completely. Knight e3, and pawn takes. Knight f3, and this would be a good one for, I was looking, then I saw it. What did I see? I went, yep, you're ready. You know, it's coming. It's here. My chair is squeaky. Rook f3. And my opponent here, after rook f3, king f3, and rook f8, resigned. The only thing here for white is either here, and then we have rook f2 check, and no good is queen f2, ef2, king f2 or similar, as I then can play queen d2 check if king f2, and queen takes b2 bishop, and the bishop's gone. Probably doing white a favour to be a bit cheeky by saying that. I'm probably doing white a favour by taking their bad bishop. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed that classical game of chess. I did, and I'm going to leave it at that. And thank you very much for watching. If you did, and if you come across this later on, I hope you found this information helpful for your game, one way or the other. Okay? Bye-bye.